Today, I'll continue with part 2 of the story, The Possessed Ram from the Devil's Bloodline. You asked me to post this part quickly, so here I am, doing just that. So sit back, relax, and focus. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, you really need to go back and watch it first, because you won't understand anything without it. I'll leave the link at the top corner of the screen and also put it in the first comment. Now, without wasting any more time, find a quiet place. Get ready with all your focus, because now we're picking up the story right where we left off. It was frozen, silent. I stepped back in pure terror, staring at my reflection, while it stared back at me, unblinking, with a hard, focused, terrifying look. Then, after a few moments, the reflection started talking to me. It said, "I know you very well. I came to help you. Don't be afraid of me. I came to save you from the disaster you brought into your home. What you brought into your house is a catastrophe," I said, shaking with fear. "What are you talking about?" It said, "You know exactly what I mean. That ram you brought into the house, that creature is stopping me from entering your home. Haven't you understood yet? It is dangerous to you." My tongue froze. I could no longer speak. I was overwhelmed by shock and fear. Then she said to me, "I came only to warn you. That ram must not stay in your house. If you keep him, you and your entire family will die." The trembling words came out of my mouth. "Why?" She screamed in my face, saying, "Get that cursed thing out of your house. We cannot get close to it, and you have no idea what it truly is. Never stay alone in the house while it is there. If you do, you will deeply regret it. You will witness something worse than death." Then she said, "And now, I must go." And she disappeared from the mirror. When the demon woman disappeared from in front of me, the only thing that pulled me out of that shock was the sound of the elevator stopping. I walked out slowly, my steps heavy. I was scared deep inside. I didn't know what to think. Was what I just saw really real? Or was it just a scary dream or my imagination? And now what? What should I do next? These questions were racing through my mind, but deep inside me, some kind of gut feeling or inner voice was clearly telling me, "No, what you saw was real. And now, you need to save yourself and your family from the disaster you brought with your own hands." While I was drowning in these thoughts, suddenly I remembered something very important. My partner. Yes, my partner at the pharmacy. A long time ago, I had a business partner at a pharmacy. We used to work together quietly and safely. But then I found out something shocking. That man was making poisons and other strange things. He was also working with witches and doing black magic. When I found out, I ended the partnership right away. But not long after that, he got arrested, and he was truly out of his mind. Like he was possessed. It was like all the harm he caused others came back to him. Some people say he wanted to quit black magic and repent, but one day, when he made a mistake trying to break a magic spell, people heard him screaming like crazy in the middle of the night. Since then, he lost his mind completely and was taken to a mental hospital. But what matters to me now is that his daughter took over the pharmacy after him. I didn't have a good or bad relationship with her. I only spoke to her for work. As a vet, sometimes I needed supplies from their place, and other times I asked for special mixtures depending on the animal's condition. What I haven't told you yet is that this girl followed in her father's footsteps. She later became a well-known witch in the area, or as some people call her, the healer. Why did I suddenly remember all this now? Because there's a saying, treat the sickness with what caused it. I had fallen into a strange, scary problem that I didn't understand. But this girl, since she's a witch or someone who understands these things, might know what's going on or how to fix it. And so, I went to see her. I walked in, greeted her, and said, "I think you still remember me, don't you?" She looked at me with a proud and disgusted look, then said coldly, "Oh, you? Yeah, I remember your face. What brings you here at this time?" I said, "It's nothing, just some problems. Now I have to travel out of town and I'll be gone for just a few days." She answered very coldly and said, "Then go. What do your problems have to do with me?" So I said, "Just wait a moment, please. I bought a ram for Eid, and as you know, it needs someone to feed and give it water every day, even just once a day." I told her, "I just want to leave it with you. That way, I'll know it's safe and you can feed and take care of it. But don't worry. Of course I'll pay you. Please, if you don't help me with this, I have nowhere else to leave it." She replied, "No problem. Bring it. Tie it behind the pharmacy and we'll take care of it." I told her, "Thank you so much. One day I'll pay you back for this favor, God willing." And just like that, I ran home before she could change her mind. On the way, I started smiling to myself. Then I couldn't help but laugh, and I thought, honestly, she deserves to have that problem. I get rid of it, and at the same time, people will be free from the trouble that witch causes. And if anything happens, let the demons fight each other. I tried to hurry as fast as I could, but I didn't make it home until very late at night. The only thing that gave me a bit of comfort was knowing my kids were safe at their grandma's house. Because of everything that happened earlier at home, I couldn't even look them in the eyes while I was in that state. When I reached the building where I lived, fear started to creep into my chest, especially because my husband wasn't there, and I was scared of the ram. I couldn't bring it down by myself. So I went to the building guard and asked him to help me bring the ram inside, but I was surprised. He looked unsure and then said no. I kept begging the guard and asking him for help. Then I gave him a good amount of money as payment, so he finally agreed, but not happily. We went up to my apartment. I walked in first to turn on the lights, but I noticed the guard looked nervous and confused, so I asked him, "Are you okay? Are you feeling sick or tired?" He said, "No, nothing. I'm fine. It's just, I think we should be careful with this ram, ma'am." His words surprised me, and I asked myself, wait, could it be that he knows something too? So I asked him right away, "Why are you saying that? What do you mean?" He replied, "Look behind you." I slowly turned around, and there it was. The ram was standing in front of the window, staring at us with a strange look, a mix of evil and challenge. The way it looked at us, it felt like a silent threat, like it was warning us without speaking. That moment made my blood run cold. I stood there, frozen, unable to move. Then the guard broke the silence and said, "Ma'am, this is none of my business." He said, "Since the day you brought that ram and I saw it, I've never felt comfortable about it. That's why I'm asking you. Please, let's be careful with it." I tried to make light of what he said, so I told him, "So, based on that, men are dying now, it's just a ram, nothing more. What exactly is supposed to scare us? If anything, it should be the one afraid of us. Come on, stop with this nonsense." He looked at me with a small, cold smile, then said, "Ma'am, there are things in this world that courage and manhood just can't help with." He paused for a moment, looked at the ram, and quietly said, "Some things, it's better to stay far away from them, if God has given you even a little bit of sense." At that moment, only God knew what I was feeling inside. Worry and fear were tearing me apart. Anyway, the guard and I worked together and took the ram downstairs. The car that would take it arrived. We put it inside, then started heading toward the pharmacy. All through the ride, I was nervous and uneasy. I kept checking on the ram from time to time, but thank God we finally reached the pharmacy. We brought it inside and tied it up well. I gave the witch the money, and I left her the food and everything the ram would need. She calmly said, "Don't worry, he's under our care now." At that moment, I left the place so happy, like a heavy weight had been lifted off my shoulders. But what's important to know is that the witch had a helper, or you could say a simple maid. She was the one who helped her with the magic and the rituals. Of course, this poor maid was the one who would be taking care of the ram for me. She was poor and only worked to earn a bit of money to feed her family. The next day after I gave them the ram, the maid was cleaning the place like she always did. By accident, she knocked over a bottle of poison that was sitting on a shelf. It broke and spilled all over the floor. That poison was made specially for a customer to be sold later. As soon as the witch heard the sound of something breaking, she rushed over, and the moment she saw the poison bottle broken on the floor, she went completely crazy. She screamed at the maid and insulted her with every bad word she could think of. She kept yelling and shouting, "Are you stupid? Do you know how many nights I stayed up to make that bottle? Do you even know how much that bottle is worth?" The witch angrily said to her, "You know what? Pack your things and get out of here. You're fired. And don't you dare come back, and you'll pay for that bottle out of your own pocket." That day passed, and when the clock struck midnight, the witch got ready to close the shop and leave. While she was locking the doors, she suddenly remembered that she hadn't locked the back door, the one close to where the ram was kept, so she went to close it. As she got closer, she noticed the ram staring at her in a strange way, a steady, cold and creepy stare. Deep inside, the witch felt that something was different about this ram. It was like it wasn't the same creature she had seen before. But she didn't pay much attention to it. She locked the door and then left the place without looking back. The next morning came. The witch went to the pharmacy and opened the place like she always did. As soon as she walked in, she went straight to the back to check on the ram. The moment she stepped into the room, she found him staring at her with the same look from the night before. That same cold, still and creepy stare. She walked closer and said to him with a mocking tone, "What's wrong with you? Are you a donkey just sitting there staring at me like that? Stop giving me those dumb looks." And then the ram tilted his head slightly, then gave her a wide smile, a smile so terrifying that even the witch got scared. She stepped back 2 steps without even realizing it. At that moment, the witch understood this ram wasn't normal. She could feel the danger that had entered the place. As she stood there frozen, she said to him in a sharp voice, "Look at me closely. If you dare do anything weird, I'll be the one to slaughter you with my own hands." Right after she said that, the ram's smile grew even wider, in a terrifying way, like he was laughing at her on purpose. The witch felt a strong, heavy pressure coming from the ram. She couldn't handle it, so she quickly ran out of the room. She grabbed her phone and called me right away. I answered and said, "Hello, peace be upon you, Zainab." But she shouted angrily, "No peace, no talking, come right now and take this ram, or I'll slaughter it with my own hands." I said, "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" She yelled, "I told you, come get your ram now. What did you bring into my place?" I replied, confused, "Zainab, please just tell me what happened. Is everything all right?" Right then, the witch told me everything that had happened to her, exactly how I told it to you. I calmly said, "Okay, I'll try to come as soon as I can, and I'll take the ram from you." I hung up and went back home, but as soon as I walked in, the phone rang again. It was my husband on the phone. He called to tell me, "Come right away. My poor cousin passed away." I had to rush. I took the kids and dropped them off at their grandma's house so I could go to the funeral while I was on the way to my husband's family's house. Zainab, the witch, called me again. I picked up, but I didn't know what to say. I was unsure and nervous. She said in an angry tone, "Didn't you say you'd come right away?" I explained what happened and said, "Please, just give me until tomorrow or the day after. I'll come right away to take him. This death came out of nowhere, and there's nothing I can do." She told me, "Fine, but keep one thing in mind. If I see any movement, even the smallest thing from that ram, I'll slaughter it with my own hands. Understood?" I didn't know what else to say, so I just gave a small laugh and said, "Don't worry, nothing will happen. It's just some stress, that's all." That night, I was at the funeral house with my husband, busy comforting his family and offering condolences. Then my phone rang. It was Zainab calling. I stepped out of the room to answer. and her voice sounded angry and scared, really scared. She shouted at me, "What did you bring me? What kind of disaster did you bring into my place? You did this on purpose, didn't you? You planned this all along." I tried to calm her down, but then she started telling me what happened that night. And from what she said, I realized something terrifying. She told me she was at the pharmacy that night, and she started to feel a heavy pressure all around her, like the walls of the pharmacy were closing in and choking her. Then suddenly, she heard strange and creepy sounds coming from the ram, sounds she couldn't explain. She got up to see what was going on, but she was shocked by what she saw. The ram was standing on its two back legs, walking around the room, making those weird and scary sounds. She was terrified. She ran backward, grabbed her keys, and ran out of the pharmacy without even looking behind her. I kept trying to calm her down with words, but she suddenly hung up on me. I tried calling her again and again, but she wouldn't answer. Oh God, what kind of nightmare have I gotten myself into? But I said to myself, enough. God curse it and its existence. Let it be slaughtered and let this nightmare end. I didn't tell my husband anything that night. The next day we went back home. When we walked in, my husband looked at the balcony and said, "Where is the ram? Why is the balcony empty?" Only then, my memory came back and I remembered that I hadn't told him anything that happened. So I said, "I took it to a pharmacy owned by a friend of mine. I left it there so she could take care of it until we got back." My husband looked at me, clearly worried and uncomfortable, and said, "When will Eid finally come so we can be done with this filth?" I told him, "Come, let me tell you what happened." He looked at me with suspicion and said, "Is everything okay again?" I said to him, "When you went to your family's house, a thief broke into our home. That was when I left to take the kids to their grandma. He entered the house and they found him dead in the bathroom." He said in shock, "What are you saying? Are you joking? Have you lost your mind?" I swore to him that everything I said really happened, but he got very angry and said, "Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me at the time?" I shouted back and said, "I did call you, but your phone was turned off, and you didn't reply to the messages I sent either." He went quiet for a moment, trying to remember if his phone had really stopped working that day. Then I continued, and I told him the whole story, from the beginning to the end. My husband kept staring at me, shocked and stunned by what he heard. Then he said, "Don't you notice that strange things started happening ever since we brought that ram?" Then he continued, "The kids who love animals, from the first day, they never went near it. My cousin, who suddenly got sick and now he died without anyone knowing why, and the thief, who died from fear in our house. Are all these things really just coincidences? As for me, honestly, I didn't want to make the situation bigger, so I calmly said, 'There's only a little time left. We'll get rid of it, and this will all be over.' But inside me, I was terrified to the bone. That night, while my husband and I were sleeping, I saw a terrifying nightmare. I saw myself inside the house. All the lights were completely off. The only light in the place was the weak moonlight coming through the windows. I looked toward the children's room, and there I saw the ram standing inside, staring at me with glowing red eyes. He was looking at me with deep hatred. His eyes were flashing like fire sparks. He kept staring at me in complete horrible silence. Then he slowly moved and started to speak. He said, "You wanted to get rid of me, didn't you? You thought you were stronger than me, and you sent someone to slaughter me." Then he screamed in a terrifying voice, "I will kill you, and I will slaughter your children in front of your eyes, and if you ever think about slaughtering me again, know this, I am not an ordinary ram. Watch out for me." I woke up in terror, my heart pounding hard, and I was shocked when I saw my husband sitting up too, his eyes wide open, like he had just woken up from the same nightmare. I said to him while shaking, "I had a horrible nightmare. I saw that ram. He was threatening me and saying he would kill me." My husband interrupted me quickly and said, "Me too. I dreamed the exact same thing. I stared at him in shock and said, "How can we both have the same nightmare? Is that even possible?" We kept looking at each other, drowning in fear and disbelief. Only the devil knows what really happened that night. But my husband whispered and said, "Do you remember how we talked about that thing before we went to sleep? It seemed like we couldn't get it out of our minds. Even in our sleep, it kept chasing us. Not in dreams, but in nightmares." That night ended and morning came. I woke up and decided to clean the balcony because it was very dirty. While I was cleaning, I found a folded piece of paper. It was almost rectangular and folded many times. I opened it and saw strange shapes inside. They looked like maps, letters, and some squares. I thought to myself and said, maybe this fell from the neighbors, since their balcony faces ours. So I threw the paper in the trash and continued cleaning the balcony. After I finished, I went to take a shower and then sat down to rest for a bit. While sitting there, I was thinking and feeling confused. Why hadn't Zainab called me again? And why was her phone still turned off? I picked up my phone and thought I'd call my husband so we could go to the pharmacy together. But suddenly, I heard a voice that terrified me. It was a strange number I didn't recognize, and it was that girl, the helper of Zainab, the witch. She was screaming and saying, "Save her soul, doctor. Come take the ram you brought." I asked her, "Is there something to worry about?" She cried out, "Zainab, doctor, Zainab has gone crazy. She lost her mind because of that ram, and now it's sitting there, smashing and breaking things in the pharmacy like a wild monster. Shame on this. Come quickly, it's threatening to kill all of us," I said in shock. What are you saying?" She begged, "Please come fast. A disaster has exploded here. Come and see it with your own eyes. That ram is far more dangerous than you can imagine." I quickly called my husband and said, "Let's meet at the pharmacy right now." He replied, "Okay, I'm coming. This time I'll bring the butcher with me. I don't want to wait until Eid anymore to slaughter it." I arrived first. I found the helper standing outside the shop, walking back and forth. Her eyes were fixed on the pharmacy door, and it was clear she was scared and confused. I greeted her and said, "My husband will be here any moment to take it away. What is really going on here? What did you mean on the phone?" But sadly, she didn't answer me directly. She only said, "Come, listen to what has been happening to us." She said, "Yesterday, Zainab called me. She told me, 'Come back right away. I need your help with something.' I went to her at night and I helped her with some spells. May God forgive me." At that moment, while she was telling me what happened, my husband arrived with 2 other men. He asked us, "What's going on? Why are you standing here? Where is the ram?" The helper pointed and said, "Inside, sir. Inside, behind the pharmacy, but be careful. That's not a ram. That is a devil." The men laughed and went inside. As for my husband, he looked at me with fear and tension, then followed them. Then I grabbed her and said, "Finish what you were telling me." She said, "Yes." At that moment, while we were preparing things, that ram was doing very strange things. I was afraid of it. Zainab felt my fear and said to me, "Don't be scared. This is the last night. What we're doing now is only so we can control it." She said, "That is not an ordinary ram. It carries the bloodline of the devil, and it would have been the best sacrifice for my servants." In the morning, we came and kept the pharmacy closed. Zainab and I went inside. We planned to offer it as a sacrifice, but we were shocked when it attacked us, especially Zainab. It jumped at her like a wild beast, and its shape was terrifying. It made her lose her mind. I don't know what it did to her. She is now in a mental hospital. I can't go back in there. Take what belongs to you, doctor. Get rid of it. This is a devil. I don't understand what's happening. Am I dreaming? Is any of this even real? I was stunned by what I was hearing. Then I saw my husband come out with the men. They looked confused and said, "There is no ram inside. Where is it?" The helper said, "That's impossible. It's inside. No one went in or out except me and Zainab. The outside door is locked. There is no other exit. Then the two men who had gone inside came out angry. They said to my husband, "This is just a joke. You brought us here for nothing. We searched the whole place. There is no ram inside." At that moment, the helper started shaking and collapsed on the ground from fear. It took effort to wake her up. After that, we sent her home, apologized to the butchers, and paid them what we owed. We went back home in heavy silence. I looked at my husband and he was staring at me too. Neither of us could speak. We couldn't understand what we had just lived through. We went up to the apartment without a word. I went into the bathroom to wash my face with water, hoping I would wake up from this nightmare. While I was washing my face, I lifted my eyes to the mirror. I was looking at myself in shock when that voice returned in my head. I saw my reflection change. It spoke and said, "You, what did you do? You destroyed all of us. I couldn't enter this house because it was hurting me. I only came to warn you, to tell you to save yourself from it, not to slaughter it. That is not a ram that can be killed. That is not a normal creature. Even in our world, it is from the bloodline of the devil." She then said to me, "I'll tell you something. Do you remember your partner at the pharmacy?" I said, "Yes, I remember him." She said, "That man was a sorcerer, and when what happened happened, and you ended your partnership with him, he swore he would take revenge on you. He kept saying that you were the one who betrayed him and sold him out. That is exactly why he sent that creature to you. And I don't need to tell you who released it on you and left you in this situation. Now I can't help you anymore. You are the one who brought this disaster upon your children." I said to her in shock, "What do you mean?" She said, "Because of what you did, and because of your recklessness, and because you asked for its blood. It will take its revenge too. Your children will die, and there is nothing that can stop it. And while I'm speaking to you now, it is heading toward them with its followers. Only a little time is left until it finishes them. Then it will come for you, and for your husband as well." I screamed, "My children! He will kill my children! You're lying! You're lying! This is impossible." She stayed silent for a short moment, then said, "This is the truth." I said to her, "My children can't die. There has to be another solution. Didn't you say you came to help me? Is this how you help me? Why are you saying this to me?" The spirit said, "My time is over. I didn't want to leave you. But before I go, I will tell you one thing. There is only one solution. The one who started all of this must spill her own blood with her own hands. Only then will your family stay safe. He is a devil, and he knows this very well. That is why he kept you until the end, because he knows that if you die, the end will come with you too." I screamed, "How? Do you mean I should kill myself? That's the solution. No, that can't be. Where are you? Answer me." At that moment, while the doctor was crying and begging for an answer, the spirit had already returned to her own world. For some reason, the doctor was left alone in a terrible situation, shocked, terrified, and sick with fear for her children. At that exact moment, she broke down and gave in to the picture she saw in her mind. She saw herself burying her children with her own hands. She saw them being taken to the graves while she stood there, unable to do anything, knowing deep inside that she was the reason they were gone. She couldn't handle it anymore. Just the idea of living with such guilt felt like living in hell. She made her decision. She brought a paper and a pen and said loudly, "I will pay the price. Don't touch my family." She wrote her story in short words and apologized to her family and her husband because she felt she had no choice in what she was about to do. She finished the letter, then took a kind of medicine that ended her life with an overdose. The ending of this story is fictional, and some moments contain a bit of imagination. Still, you should know that the main events of this story are based on a real case. A family actually suffered something like this. If this story stayed with you, and you enjoy the kind of content I share here, your support with a like and a share truly helps the channel grow. Thank you for staying with me until the very end.